Now tuning in to Earbud Media. Audio for everyone.
Recording.
Same. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
Wow. We're so good
Stop
at this.
copying me.
No, you hang up.
No, you hang up. Oh my god, speaking of which, I'm pretty sure that I astral projected in my dreams last night.
Sorry, how was that? Speaking of that.
Okay, so here's what happened. I'm pretty sure that I astral projected last night into a party.
Oh, cool.
With multiple celebrities.
Okay.
I don't know whose body that I astral projected into.
Sure.
But based on the context that I received, I think they were some sort of music producer.
Okay.
Sure. And because I remember looking at whoever body it was, their phone a lot.
You're just blowing up.
I know. I was just like a hashtag so famous. There are 3 specific things I remember about my dream, and I don't really remember my dreams a lot.
Yeah.
But it was the most vivid thing I think I've ever had.
Okay.
The first 2 things that I specifically remember. One was that I was sitting right next to Pete Wentz.
Okay.
The second thing I remember, I was sitting across from redheaded what's his name? Patrick Stump.
Okay, yeah.
The next thing that I remember, both of them were talking about tattoos that they were going to get, specifically about getting tarot card tattoos.
All right.
Here's the thing that really fucked me up. Yeah. They were talking about getting tarot card tattoos, but the tarot cards that they were referencing getting tattooed on their bodies were not good tarot cards.
Right.
They
just
were
the
like
worst vibes.
just like really bad vibes to get like tattooed on you.
Right.
Like they were like, oh yeah, no, I want to get the 5 of Wands tattooed on me. And like, oh, I want to get the 7 of Cups tattooed on me. I was like, no.
No.
Those
are bad omens, my guy.
Those are bad. Why would you want that on your body forever? And yeah. I was like really weirded out by the vibes. The body that I was in was like, no, weird vibes. And then I woke up, Cody, I swan to John with a pain on my arm, exactly where they were pointing to get the like tattoos.
Oh my god. Did you like pull up your sleeve and it was like, oh no, I have it.
I have a bruise on my arm. It's the fucking weirdest thing I've ever experienced. I'm pretty sure I was a ghost last night.
Yeah. I love that you're leading into your like TikTok shifting era. Which also, for the record, like, astral projecting is so much cooler than shifting. Quote unquote shifting. Shifting is
all these nerds were like shifting because they wanted to like fuck Draco Malfoy.
Right.
Which, first of all, what year is it?
Right. Well, come on, guys.
Like, hello? Second of all, like, why are you actively talking about that franchise? Hello?
Yeah, right.
Third of all, what? Anyways, so,
wow, what a
welcome to Into the Ooh space.
Ooh, hello.
Things are getting a little bit spoopy.
Yeah, we are in different bodies. We are channeling Wanda. We are souls inhabiting other bodies and experiences.
This is what happens, I'm pretty sure, when you listen to Imagine Dragons for the first time.
Don't do this. Don't do this. We have so much to talk about Imagine Dragons.
I know.
You can't tease the listeners like that.
I know. Welcome to Into the Imagine Dragons, where we go through their entire discography.
Surprise.
They have more than one song.
Yeah.
We will get to this, but just as a teaser, folks, when you type in Imagine Dragons on Google, people also ask, why is Imagine Dragons hated?
Oh, no. How many members of the band do you think they had to Google? How many times do you think they had to Google that for it to come up like that?
People also ask, how many times do they say thunder? in Imagine Dragons, thunder.
That is a good stat to know. I would like to have that readily available for trivia, parties.
Yeah. I think it's super helpful to know.
Yeah.
So, hello. Welcome
Heyo.
to Into the Twilight. We were forced to, unfortunately, witness the crime that is the host.
Yes. The cinema.
That
is the
emphasis
host.
on sin.
Yes. Yes.
Last night. But I can, with pride, tell you that the evil is defeated.
We did it.
We'll get into that.
We did it.
We did it. Before we do that, though, Cody, how are you?
I'm doing pretty okay. It has been raining for what seems like a calendar month every day.
Yo, what the fuck?
We have just been drowning. I don't know what's going on.
I've heard climate change.
Yeah, climate change seems to be really fucking up most every major place.
Just every part.
Pretty much every corner of
Yeah.
these United States / the entire world. So, that's cool. I guess we won't have to worry about that for a while. That's cool. As much as I am haunted by the future of climate change, I am more haunted by something cursed. And
Please.
it's not happy, but we have to talk about the IKEA couches.
Okay, I was hoping you would bring this up because I was afraid it was off topic, but it is, when we're recording this is the last day of Pride, so we do need to talk about this, unfortunately.
Right. By the time this episode comes out, it will be chuggy, and that's fine, whatever.
And that's fine.
That's okay. But IKEA came out with these, art pieces. They're not for sale or
so
anything.
fucked up.
But they're all couches. They're love seats, right? For Pride, for love.
Yeah, for love. Yeah.
For love. All... inspired by different pride flags. And when I say I've never been more attacked, belittled, berated in my life.
I hate them.
Some of them, I will say, can be vibes. Like the lesbian one is pretty chill because the lesbian colors are fabulous, right? It's a good color palette.
Sure. The trans flag has the prettiest colors.
Yeah, for sure.
Always.
Yeah.
And so, that color scheme is
just goes
fine.
hard. Whatever.
It's and so that couch is fine. I would here. I'm not gonna say that I would buy it because it's too light and I spill shit all the time.
Yeah, no way. That is not a long-term couch at all.
Absolutely not.
No.
But of the couches,
yeah,
it's pretty.
Yeah.
Here's the
mostly
thing.
Unoffensive. Largely.
And here's the thing. A lot of these couches are offensive.
Yeah. The buy one
so
is
much.
my new sleep paralysis demon. If you haven't seen it, don't. But it
don't.
And you
so
also
bad.
the buy flag has a good color scheme, right?
It does.
But it can be easily fucked up if it is not done in a way that makes sense. You know what I mean? Sometimes the colors can blend together in a weird way. That is a huge thing here. It also just has slam poetry on the pillows and giant physical arms attached and around, just grabbing at you like the fucking thing. What
I fucking hate the hands. I hate the hands. I know it's a statement. I get it.
I know, and the guy who I guess the poem was based off of, he it was from a slam poem he did in 2015, and he made this whole fucking thread about it, and I was like, yeah, this is a great story, but I'm also scared of it, and it's still, this is not it.
No.
I respect you for sure, totally, chase your bliss, do your thing.
Right.
I'm sorry you're getting bullied on the internet, whatever, but this is the ugliest and scariest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
You couldn't pay me enough to sit on that couch. No.
Yeah.
Nope.
That is if Madame Tussauds just became a nightmare, came to life and just was bam, I'm gonna fucking grab you in your most vulnerable state, thinking about bi-erasure.
There is something about the Ace couch.
Oh my god.
That what I imagine that they were going for was a crystal, right? Like a rock.
Like a geode. Yeah.
Like a geode. Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah.
But what it looks like to me is pretty yonic.
It is the most yonic fucking couch I've ever seen. This couch is so sexual. for being specifically
It is
representing
incredibly
an
sexual.
asexual identity. I feel like they didn't really catch the brief here.
No.
Like, that is literally a George O'Keeffe painting
That's what I'm
on
saying.
a couch.
And it's so frustrating looking at these couches because the lesbian couch, they were able to take all of the colors from the flag and then interpret them so that it is like something that you could actually put in, maybe not a home, but you could put it into a space.
Right, yes. And not feel like a weird circus.
Right. Because the idea of that, a couch that light in a home, it just makes me very nervous. Again, because of spills. Like, you're supposed to be on a couch. It's supposed to be livable. But I could see something like the lesbian couch, like, in a space. You could definitely have that somewhere. Because it's got a color scheme that works.
Yeah.
But then they take the fucking flag, like something like the bi flag, and it's just like a direct interpretation. Like, it's not even an interpretation. It's just a 1-to-1.
Yeah. There's no artistic liberties really taken here.
What I will say, looking again at this, the trans couch, it reminds me a lot of this bear that I had growing up. I don't know if any of you all had this too. It was almost like a denim teddy bear that you used like markers to color with.
Oh my god, yes. I remember
I don't know
these.
what the fuck that was called.
Mm-hmm.
Were they just called doodle bears? They were 100% called doodle bears.
Yep, I remember these ads for sure.
Yep. Okay. So that is what this couch is giving me, which I love. Like, if it was a couch where the intent was to, like, color on it, cool as hell. Love that.
Right.
That you could do something with, but
Totally.
I don't know. Anyways, they very much give off an art statement.
Yes.
Which I know is why they aren't selling them, but, like, okay.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
Sure.
Yeah, go off, I guess. Happy Pride.
Yeah. Which is very similar, right, to, like, what companies do with those, like, special foods. Where it's like, we are very much doing this with the intent of going viral and then not doing anything. Yeah. So
there you go. How are you doing? Sorry to put you in this funk, but
I feel like it's important.
Yeah, I
feel like
let it slide, you know?
They can't get away with it, you know?
Exactly.
There's a lot of things that IKEA does for the people by having, you know, those huge ass bears, which I support.
Yes.
But sometimes they need to be, you know, just gently guided back into the space. I am, for the moment, I'm doing okay. We here in the Pacific Northwest are struggling because we are also under the brunt of climate change right now, which is a fun place to be. It is, today was the first day in a very long time where it was cloudy and we did not wake up to it being like 85, which was nice.
That's great. Yeah, that's definitely a change of pace.
Yeah, so hopefully, you know, the heat won't cause, at least for the time being, our roads to buckle, which is nice.
Yeah.
But over the last couple days here, it has been incredibly hot, and I have seen a lot of folks giving us here in Seattle and in Washington, in Oregon, a lot of shit for being like, oh, you think it's hot? Come here. And it's like, no, you don't understand. Our infrastructure is built to keep it hot, keep our homes hot, and we don't have AC or like ceiling fans or any of those things. So while it was like 2 days ago, like 112 in Seattle here, one of the things that I desperately wanted and brought me great joy was thinking about like a water park.
Yeah.
And I was dreaming about like chlorine. But specifically, if any of you have ever been to an aquatic park or any sort of like place with water, one of the things that I saw on Twitter that I had long forgotten about because I'm an adult and my hopes have been crushed, was this kind of like large, almost like mushroom looking fountain.
Yes.
And these things brought me so much joy as a child that I cannot properly express. When I saw this on Twitter, I felt at home looking at it. Like, yes, this is where I belong.
Yes.
I want to be standing, not even directly underneath it, but I want to be standing right near the pole and just have the water like rushing around me.
Oh, yeah.
And just feel like I am a mermaid surrounded by chlorine.
Yes. I'm the mermaid of this pool.
Yes, I want to be young enough to not realize that sometimes when the aquatic park closes, it's not just a break to like go eat snacks. It's because there's like shit in the pool.
Yeah.
And that like standing
we know
or
too
like
much
swimming.
now, it's harder to enjoy.
Yeah, that like swimming in chlorine all day, especially someone that has like curly hair, is like not actually good for you. But anyways, I just want to be young again. I just want to have the ignorance that is youth sometimes. So, but seeing that, especially as someone who did not have access to like a pool, sounded amazing. So, very good stuff.
Yeah, hell yeah. Summer vibes.
So, truly summer vibes. It sounded so good. I love that. So if any of you have access to those, enjoy them for me, please. We have just a little bit of current events this week. A shorty amount, but some good ones on here. Here's the thing. Our main piece of current events, I'm very nervous to talk about.
Yeah. We're getting in some dicey waters here with this one.
Especially because of the fact that I don't... This is not my area of expertise.
Yeah.
And so talking about... So here's the thing. Over the past week, the Twilight account, at Twilight, changed their bio. And you might be like, folks, I know you cover news. That's not news.
Right.
But it apparently is, and here's why. The at Twilight account changed their bio because of a certain BTS member.
Welcome to the K-pop corner of Into the Twilight.
Welcome to the K-pop
a segment we will never have ever again.
We will never do this again, and here's the reason why. I personally know nothing about K-pop.
Yeah.
And or BTS.
Right.
This is not my area of expertise. Talking about it personally makes me nervous. Here's why.
I'm scared.
I am incredibly scared because I respect this fan base.
Yeah.
But y'all scare the shit out of me.
Yeah.
I've seen what you all can do.
They're essentially their own
online.
Statehood. Like, they're so many.
Exactly. I've seen what you all can do. I respect you, but respectfully, I want to stay the fuck away from you. Here's why. So the at Twilight bio changed to, quote, the official Twitter account of that fairy tale involving wolves. So over the past week, there was apparently some sort of like press happening that occurred. And one of the BTS members, specifically Jin.
Yes.
Cool.
One of the 75 boys.
One of the so many boys was asked about like their favorite fairy tales. Mm-hmm. And during this, apparently mentioned Twilight. Because
go off. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
So you did it. You did it.
We
correctly.
stand a stand,
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Apparently it was from I'm reading this now. It's from Run BTS, which, of course, is the show-style web series trivia talk show.
Ooh.
Specifically dedicated to BTS.
Wow. I love how there's a whole entire internet ecosystem that, like, is just fully thriving and huge and massive and, like, like fleshed out. And I'm just like, I have no idea any of this even existed. That's refreshing. I love it.
I love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so apparently in the challenge of trying to name, like, specific fairy tales that involve wolves, Jin said, yeah, Twilight. Which, like, hello? You got it. You did it.
Right. If I was put on the spot, yeah, that'd be 100%. For sure. Yeah.
You did it correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, the @Twilight account got wind of this because they are omnipresent.
Yes.
And are, as I am so curious, they are one of us.
Right. Just a regular person.
Change their bio. Now, here's the thing that we've been trying to figure out for almost 5 years now. Mm-hmm. Who the fuck runs the @Twilight account? We just want to know.
Please.
It haunts me daily.
Yes.
Not knowing
I cannot
who
sleep
runs.
knowing.
Because I feel like there have been changes in that social media presence from when we had first started to now.
Mm-hmm.
And the social media presence of the @Twilight account has gotten so much better. And so much more relevant.
Yeah.
Thinking about, like, what they, like, the Keisu takeover for Keisu's birthday. There's been references specifically about, like, on Edward's birthday and how it fell out on Father's Day. Like, it's weirdly relevant in a way that you wouldn't expect for a series that, again, ended in 2012.
Right. They are far too online to be, like, a regular brand account. You know what I mean?
It's fucked up.
So it's like, who are you?
Who are you? And
can we be
just
besties?
Want to talk.
Yeah, can we?
We just want to know who you are. Yeah. So anyways, @Twilight, you know, we're here. Just hit us up.
Yeah.
We're always available.
Yes.
So the other piece of news is an update of our next season. Would you like to tell folks where we are at with that?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. So thank you all for filling out our fun little survey.
So many of you.
So many of you. We love that. It's incredible. We are down to 3 potential items for the next season.
You'll be able to vote.
You'll be able to vote
when
this is out. Yes.
Just call in. Give us your votes.
Yeah, place your votes on our Twitter. We are down between the 50 Shades of Grey series from Christian's perspective. Also down between Vampire Academy and A Court of Thorns and Roses. Those are the highest ranking ones.
Now, here's what I'll say, you fakers.
Right. Yeah, we do have
your
some
top choice, your number one choice,
right,
was Christian's perspective of the 50 Shades series.
Right.
In the comments, you fake fools. So many of you said anything but Christian's perspective.
Yeah.
So what's the truth?
So I'm getting a hard time reading the room here. Like I'm not.
So
I don't really know what the vibe is.
We are happy to do what you all ask.
Right.
But so many of you were like, anything but you. Yeah. Anything but 50 Shades, which again, I don't disagree with.
Sure. Yeah.
But when the number one choice, when your first choice option is 50 Shades, I'm a little bit curious about what's going on. But yes, so those are your top choices.
Yeah.
You've got a little bit of time to decide on what you would prefer, and then we will move into our next season soon. And
that's not to say we won't do any of the other ones another time, you know?
Sure.
It's just, what do you want right
What do you
now?
want the soonest?
Right.
So, give us your feedback. The last piece of news that I have here is less like immediate news, but more just a fun piece of information.
Yes.
over the past weekend while my current world was on fire,
Yes.
I got caught up on all of the Fast and Furious movies that I hadn't currently watched.
Ooh, shout out to family.
Shout out to fam,
Yeah.
which was, there were 3 that I was not caught up on, which was 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah.
Which is a sad little bunch,
Yeah.
I will say.
Yeah. Definitely
just
an emotional period for,
Yeah,
for the Fast
just-
franchise.
I was crying from sweat, and then I was also crying because #family.
Yeah.
It was a sad time, but that's okay. A fun little piece of news that I did not know until I had watched Fast and Furious 7 was realizing that one of the main characters in that, Kurt Russell, who plays Mr. Nobody, casting... Hello.
Yeah.
What is that name? But that's fine. I did not
All right,
realize...
protagonist.
Yes. I didn't realize until watching that the other 2 options that they had selected for that casting choice instead of Kurt Russell were, 1, Halle Berry, which would have been a great choice, personally. That's fine. And 2, Taylor Lautner.
Wow.
And that, to me, is buck wild, because if you have seen Fast 7, it is very much a, senior management position. It kind of relies on this, I've been in this...
I know my way around.
Yeah, I've been
parts.
in this company forever. I have a lot of sway. And it's very interesting that they wanted to put in this baby... That is Taylor Lautner.
This tiny child.
Then this small child. But watching it, I was just very confused because I feel like they would have had him do a lot more action than it would have been for Kurt Russell.
Right.
But just a little fun fact for you.
Wow. I love that a character can be so vague that it could have been Kurt Russell, Taylor Lautner, or Halle Berry. The scope is so expansive. I love that.
It's so wild. But after seeing Halle Berry in John Wick and seeing the kind of wonders that she does with dogs, I was like, fuck yeah, she would have been great in that.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, for sure.
So just some little facts for you.
Just a little fact.
Just a little factoid. We have a Twilight backstory here that I'm very excited to share with you. The person that sent this in asked to not have their name used, which I'm happy to do.
Yeah, cool.
So, just so you all don't think that I'm being an asshole, and I'm like, this person took the time to send in a backstory, and then I'm gonna fucking ignore their name.
Right, yeah. I have no respect for you.
Yep. I have no respect for your history and for your for you taking the time. They just asked to not have their name used. So instead, I'm going to call them Imagine Dragons.
Great.
Great. So this email from Imagine Dragons is titled My Twilight Backstory as a Treat. Thank you, Imagine Dragons. All right.
So much.
Thank you so much.
Noted Twihards, Imagine Dragons.
Okay. Hello, Cody and Allie. I started listening to your podcast almost a year ago and told myself when I finally got caught up to the most recent episode, I would send you good folks at Into the Twilight an email. Imagine Dragons, that's so kind of you.
That's very cute.
My sister and I are currently on a road trip to Forks, Washington for her 16th birthday. So while we drive, I figured I would send you an email sharing my Twilight backstory with you. Wow. In my youth, I stayed far away from everything Twilight. I fell into the misogynistic trap of hating Twilight, not because of how problematic the text is, but purely because I considered myself to be not like the other girls. Mm-hmm. Imagine Dragons. Yeah. Wow. I kept up this mindset for years, not really actively thinking about Twilight, but happily mocking it if it was ever brought up into conversation. Everything changed in August of 2020. My sister, who had been a fan for a while, finally convinced me to watch the first movie with her. So we sat down and watched Catherine Hardwicke's cinematic masterpiece, and I was immediately hooked. We watched the rest of the movies together, my sister explaining all the weird plot points and anything else I didn't understand along the way. After I finished the movies, I purchased the book series box set, which happened to arrive right as we were evacuating our house during the really bad fire season last year.
Jeez.
Imagine Dragons. I remember
my God.
that last time.
The commitment.
Yeah, for real. I read the whole series in a little over a week, followed up by Life and Death and Midnight Sun, only falling deeper into Stephanie's bananas little world. But once I was finished with all the movies and books, I realized I was desperate for more Twilight content. Around the same time, I got a certain video on my on my TikTok For You page, which led me to your podcast, and I've been a listener ever since. I truly cannot thank you for your podcast. It's been a source of comfort and consistency through this nightmare of a year. I wish you both all of the best things in the world as you continue through the myriad of Twilight adjacent material. Oh, that's very kind of you.
Cute. Imagine Dragons.
I know.
You're
also,
so sweet.
There's a request here to wish your sister a happy birthday. So Imagine Dragons Junior? No,
You're right.
That's not how siblings work.
You know how siblings are?
That's not how siblings work. Imagine Dragons sister, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you
Oh my
for
God.
converting your sibling.
Yeah, you got another one into
Twilight.
the fold. You're doing the
I
good
know.
work. Yeah.
As a proper MLM, you did it.
Right.
So
Yeah, your downline is flushing incredibly.
Yeah.
So congrats on that.
yeah, you're not at the proper level, Imagine Dragons sister, for a pink car, or a Volvo yet, but you are ready for a digital sticker.
Ooh.
Of what? I'm not sure.
Who
But
knows?
who's to say? You're on your way. So
Oh
good
my
work.
God. The idea of a Twilight MLM is so fucking funny.
What would they even be converting people to? Like,
No. The Gospel of Stephanie Meyer?
for real. Speaking of conquering people, we should probably talk about the host.
Yes, we did it. The evil is defeated.
Had you seen this movie before?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, well, I needed to ask.
Thank you, but no.
I need to know all of your thoughts, because when I texted you last night, I was in a fit. I was struggling so hard to get through this movie.
This movie is buck wild. It
It's
manages
so
to
bad.
be both, like, it's 2 hours, right? Which is like a typical Stephanie Meyer film length, I feel like.
Right.
But it happens to be both so unbearably long and also incredibly short and rushed at the same time.
Oh my god, it's so rushed.
It's so rushed, like, obviously this book is what's like 700 fucking pages. Like, you can't
Right.
fit everything. It feels like Stephanie Meyer, in her ideal world, would have made this into like a series or a mini series or something to like flesh everything out in her
I feel like it
liking,
would
right?
have worked as like a mini series.
It definitely would have made more thematic sense as a series because like watching the movie, I felt like it was a lot better to like get a visual representation of everything, because like I feel like, especially listening to the audiobook but also reading it or whatever, like it's harder because there's so many fucking names, and also
Absolutely.
Melanie and Wander are two people that are also the same, you know, like there's so many things going on that's hard to like keep track, but like in a visual sense
Yes.
it like makes a lot more sense that way. But like other than that, like all of the beats are so, I feel like we get the weirdest parts of the books and not like the things that we gravitated towards too that were interesting to us. And like
100%.
by the time it got to the end, like, and the whole death sequence and like this whole sacrifice, like I feel like it felt like Wander had only been there for like a couple days. You know what I mean? Like it felt so, the timing of it was weird, and just like I was like, I feel nothing for the, like I'm supposed to feel this like sweeping emotion of like this grand sacrifice that was played out in the book, right? And I was just like, we just
completely
got
agree.
this person. It's like, what's going on?
The amount of pauses that I had to do and explain context to Chris was unbelievable.
It's insane. Like, someone who did not read this, I feel like they would not understand at all what was going on or what the point was.
Absolutely not.
Like, there's no way. Like,
no.
It translated so poorly, I feel like, in that respect.
And that's the thing that makes no sense to me, is how this could possibly be 2 hours, and yet
we get nothing.
You get absolutely nothing, and also they took like 5% of the book material.
Yeah.
And that's it. And the rest, they were like, okay, have fun. I guess we're just gonna kind of improv along as we go.
Let's get some sick landscape shots for a while and just sit on that, you know?
And decide
we got none of the tribal councils. We got none of the actual conflict, like, within the system, you know?
Literally.
And it was like, what? There are no stakes here. Like, I feel like everything, like, these things are happening and it means nothing.
Literally. So I feel like there are at least like 25 differences between the book and the movie.
Yeah.
And I don't have the time, nor do I care, to list all of them. But what I will say, just from a background, if you did not read the book with us, or you have not watched the movie,
right,
there is some background that is incredibly important for you to know about this before we start talking about some of the differences. Could you please tell them about who wrote and directed this movie, please?
Oh, God, yes. Hold on, let me get his fucking name. This criminal.
Fucking Andrew Niccol.
Andrew Niccol, who is, like, #1 on my enemy list.
I need to have a fucking talk with this man when I see him next.
Okay, so famously, we have talked about his, according to Letterboxd, most famous movie, Gattaca, which is also apparently Bella Swan's favorite book, or favorite movie. If you want to listen to that, it's on our Patreon. It's very fun. But he also did the fucking Justin Timberlake, Amanda Seyfried movie, In Time.
I can't.
Which
I cannot.
I feel like I watched on a plane, and that is my only context for that movie. But that's wild.
Also, side note about him, did you see the news that Ethan Hawke is now in Knives Out too?
Oh, yes, and I saw the pictures, and I am ready. I didn't even love Knives Out that much, but everyone in this, I'm like, maybe I will be a stan just for this particular sequel. Like,
it's like all connected.
Right.
I can't.
Everyone is here. And yeah, we get the Amanda Seyfried connection, which is like the fucking Catherine Hardwicke connection. Like, it's all the red string, guys. It is here. We are.
I know that we joke about it all the time, but it's not a joke anymore.
No, I started saying it's all connected as a joke, but I don't think it's a joke anymore.
It's not. It's not a joke anymore.
Yeah.
Because
so
we know for a fact that Stephenie Meyer was given a blank check for this movie.
Yes.
I mean, it's only $40 million, like, in the grand scheme of things. But, like...
Small potatoes.
But, like, you know that when she was deciding on directors, she was like, 100%, it's gotta be Gattaca. It's gotta be Andrew Niccol.
Yeah.
He's the only one that can bring this to life. And it's like, Stephenie, I swear to God. I hate it. I hate it. It makes no sense. The fact that he wrote this makes, like, and translated this screenplay makes so much more sense because it is awful. The screenplay makes no sense.
Seriously unreal. Like, it's hard to even describe how out of pocket this movie is. Like, at every turn.
I know.
Like, and the things that they keep in versus the things that they took out, which we'll get into in a second, but, like, especially keeping in, like, the insane, like, meeting and kissing immediately scene. And everything else was on the cutting room floor. I was like, what? Like, this seemed like such an emotional beat for you that was crucial to this.
That is the thing that is wild to me. Because, so, obviously, the main name and the casting of this is baffling to me. Because if you think about all of the other movies that were coming out, like YA movies that were coming out at this time. And again, this is like peak YA movie time.
Totally, yeah.
We are in the cusp
baby.
of it.
We're in it. We're deep in it.
We are in it. And when you are thinking about the movies that are coming out at this time for YA, they are spending so much of their budget to get names. Mm-hmm. They're spending it on names. And so the fact that they didn't do that, they have Saoirse Ronan, and at this time, like, Saoirse Ronan has had some notoriety, but again, not to the degree that she has now.
Right. Totally. That was not her peak, you know.
No. And the fact that they spent the money on her. Right. They spent the money on Emily Browning, but she's in it for a second.
Literally a second.
And then some of their money goes into older actors who you will recognize if you watched content in, like, the 90s.
Right.
But is nothing that is, no names and faces that you can put on a poster that's going to draw in teenagers at this time.
Right.
Which is buck wild to me.
Yeah, no one in this feels like, oh, this is like someone that's catering to the audience this is specifically for. You know what I mean? Where it's like, they're not hot posters on there that's like, yes, your favorite, like, a teen boy heartthrob of this era. Yeah. And it's like, no, it's just like this guy that was in a sitcom in the 90s, or like, you know, like more off color kind of
and I feel like that's what they made this for me, because it's like, hell yeah, you got Scott Lawrence. I love Jag. Like, fuck yeah, you got William Hurt. Yeah. Hell yeah, you got Frances Fisher. I loved her. She was a bitch in Titanic. Like, yes. But I think that what they had done is they gambled on Max Irons because he was in The Little Red Riding Hood, which we had just talked about.
Right. They're like, this guy's going to be huge. Just you wait.
Yeah. Because he was in those almost back to back.
Yeah, for real.
And they gambled on him, and he didn't really do much after that.
No.
And Jake Abel, who was in Supernatural, Stephanie loves him.
Right.
Because of the fact that he was in this, and then she kept him around for the Midnight Sun audiobook. But again, no one in this, aside from Saoirse, really has, like, popped.
Right.
And that is a major downfall of this, because no one really went to see who was in this.
Right.
Which is rough.
Yeah.
So yikes on their part, for sure. And I think that it shows, right? Because the fact that, like, in the box office, they only got like $63 million off of their budget, which is not enough to...
not great.
It's not good. No. Especially compared with the fact that they had just come off the Twilight series.
Right.
And I know that they were banking on this being...
a huge thing, yeah.
A huge thing, especially because Stephanie was like, oh yeah, like, I'm going to do a trilogy off of this. It's like,
right.
Eat shit. Like, no, you're not. No, you are not.
No.
Okay, so the differences in this are unbelievable.
Yeah.
One of which... I don't know about you, but I found the beginning of this incredibly weird.
The narration?
The narration was
just
weird.
Like, it's some fucking episode of, like, Planet Earth or something.
Who is this man? Who is he?
And it's just some omniscient man. It's being like, the world is different now. And it's like, okay, cool. Like, what? And then, like, back ends at 2 at the end. It's, like, so wild. Especially since they use, like the way that they kind of translate the whole Melanie Wanderer thing, which makes a lot of sense, I think, from a film standpoint, where it's like Wanda is talking out loud, like Saoirse as Wanda is talking, but Melanie in the head is like a narration kind of thing, right?
Right.
And like having all those different, it's like there's so what's going on? Like, we can't keep having all these different like voices coming around.
What I wish that they had done instead of that is if it had been Jeb. And
yeah, honestly,
if it had been Jeb and that would have led into like almost like a flashback of Melanie, because one of the things that we got in the book is Melanie being like, oh, Uncle Jeb, you weirdo.
Right.
You're a conspiracy theorist. You won't have this like bunker, right?
Right.
And so I feel like it would have made a lot more sense to have him be that voice or something.
Right. Yeah,
like,
to have like a grounding point to it that's like, oh yeah, this is coming together in a way that's like, this is someone reflecting on the state of the universe right now.
Exactly.
You know? And not some weird, like, godlike omniscient
it was
voice.
so weird.
So strange.
Yeah, it made no sense to me. Especially going into this like hub that they have for the souls.
Right.
And I get that in the book it doesn't translate. Like the first leading up to the inciting incident, that when Melanie and Wander head out to Arizona, a lot of that stuff is forgettable because it's Stephanie, right? Like we don't need to see Wander as the adjunct professor, all that stuff.
Right.
And so I understand, I get to a point that they need to kind of illustrate that the souls, although they are like, quote, peaceful, they're not good.
Yeah.
Like they are still conquering a planet.
Right.
But to me, it felt very weird that they would have the souls like all living in one apartment and that they have to like lock the door. Like it felt...
Yeah, it's like some weird apartment complex that they're all just like vibing in. It's like weird.
It felt, honestly, it felt more like Divergent than this.
Totally, yeah.
Because one of the things I thought that Stephanie was trying to get across was the amount of autonomy that the souls had. And even though they had that of like, oh, you can walk around, they all still follow order.
Right.
Like it's that amount of control. But I understand that I guess like for the sake of time, you can't really develop that.
Right, for sure.
So... that was a choice, I guess. It just made them... it made them more... And throughout all of this, really, the souls ended up being far more violent than they are in the book.
Yeah, totally.
Especially, like, yeah, I just found that very odd. And I guess that's something where, like, you kind of need some sort of, like, visual component for an audience.
Yeah, it's like, how do we establish these people are colonizers? Like,
right, exactly.
Yeah.
But I guess the way that you do that is by having them in all white and all chrome, and like,
oh my
they
God,
get to have
chrome cars were
the chrome.
Unreal. They like pull up every car like these souls drive are these like fully reflective mirrored ass cars. Just
It's
like
so
zoom
weird.
in the desert. It is wild.
And completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
It was so weird to me. The Melanie's voice was one of the most distracting things for me. Not only was it incredibly jarring at the beginning of the movie, but throughout, I was like, Sorsha, what? I don't remember in the book Melanie saying, like, hey, now I could be wrong. Stephanie might have said, like, yep, here we are, the Striders. We were born and raised in Louisiana.
Yeah, I think that was new.
I think that was new.
I feel like I did not pick up on that, at least.
I feel like if that was important, it might have shown in the audiobook a little bit.
Right. Yeah, maybe I would have gotten a little more Southern flair, you know?
It was incredibly jarring and unnecessary, especially given the fact that it is pretty clear, from an acting standpoint, I could have known Sorsha was like Melanie versus Wander, just by the cadence and how Wander holds themselves versus Melanie. But you know what? Apparently we don't need to trust our audience, so that's okay.
Yeah, no. We gotta spell it out. Otherwise they will not know.
I I agree with you in the sense that I was not expecting one of the things that they did keep being the kissing scene, like the flashback scene of Jared and Melanie. I will say the fact that they cast Max, he doesn't look 30.
So,
So that helps the audience be like, oh, this isn't a very obvious age difference between these two characters. So they don't know that Melanie is like underage or like just 18 and Jared's 30.
Right.
So that's a choice. What I didn't remember about the book, and this just might be my bad, Jamie is a child.
Okay, literally, same.
Like a literal baby.
When Jamie pulled up, I was like, wait a minute. Hold on.
Who is this baby in a cave?
I think I misunderstood how we were framing Jamie, how we were talking about Jamie, because Jamie pulls up as a child, like a little child.
And I know they talked in the book about like, oh, he's going off with the other kids to like go to school in the cave. Right. And I was like, yeah, like he's a kid. He's like 13 or 14. Right. This kid looks 10 max.
Yeah.
It's fucked up.
Yeah.
And that just might be the actor that they got, but it was very weird.
Right.
To handle personally. But I will agree with you also that I felt like there was the conflict that they emphasized throughout all of this was only the conflict between the humans in the cave and the Seekers.
Yeah.
And no conflict between Wanderer and the conflicts in the cave.
Which is crucial.
It's arguably the most important.
It's the whole plot. Like, it's in order to understand why the sacrifice and the failure of that sacrifice, or the saving from that sacrifice, I guess, means something, is that the fact they came from very turbulent untrustworthiness to, like, building up this sort of rapport, but there's none of that. Like, nowhere.
The fact that when Wanderer comes into the cave for the first time, and we get the 2 slaps, one outside of the cave by Melanie's aunt, and then the second one by Jared, and it seems almost just like ignored.
Right.
Like, it's just like, oh, you know, that's just how people greet each other. It's like, no, it's not. Right. What are you talking about?
Welcome to the cave, bitch.
Where, like, Wander and Melanie's body is just, like, completely blistered. Like, the VFX that they did there was actually, like, helpful, because you don't quite get the scope of that from first person.
Right, for sure.
And then, again, because this is all happening when you're reading it in, like, one day, like, or again, I think it's over the course of, like, 6 days, and then Ian tries to kill them, like, none of this is really given due diligence.
Right.
Same with the situation with Kyle. Yeah. Because there's none of the tribunals. It's not shown just how much distrust there is with Wanderer. And there's like little hints of it, because they have that with Jared in the like dining area.
Right.
With the truck that goes and just like sacrificed itself, which there were so many crashes in this movie. Oh my god.
Crashes. Yeah. God.
That is where they put their budget into, because what in the world?
Big explosions, big crashes, big truck.
So many helicopters.
Yes. Oh my god. Yeah. The amount of helicopters in this movie, unreal.
Way more than there were in the book.
Yes.
But there wasn't, to me, that was where this movie failed because it was just like, oh, everything's just dandy. They've just got a new alien friend. It's like, no, you don't get it.
Yeah, no.
And so that was definitely lost on there.
Yeah.
Especially because at the end, Wander's sacrifice means nothing at that point.
Literally.
Because there's no conflict that's happening between Jared and Ian. So when the two of them, not necessarily even put aside their differences, but like recognize what's happening, that means nothing.
Right.
When Jared doesn't even get to say goodbye.
Right.
That situation doesn't even happen.
No.
But when Ian does the, like, you can't leave, it happens in the middle of the wheat field. It doesn't even happen in his, like, in the hospital wing and then into his bedroom.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's not even, like, anger into crying where Wander was like, ooh, this is super uncomfy. I hate this.
Yeah.
It was just this, like, Jake, and here's the thing that pisses me off. Jake Abel can do anger.
Yeah.
He can, like, get incredibly angry.
Yeah.
Like, he can act that really well and get incredibly sad. But the way that this was portrayed, it was all, like, all of these characters really just felt very bland and neutral.
Like, the acting across the board, or at least, like, how all these characters were interpreted, felt very just, like, muted, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
Like, there were small bouts of, like, violence at the beginning and, like, a little bit of little tumultuousness, but, like, for the most part, everyone's just kind of, like, there, you know? No one is really in their feelings, and no one expresses that in a very, like, emotional way. And it's just like, okay, this is just happening, and we're here. And it's like, what? Where?
Which is the weirdest thing. Because
Coming from
when
the
you
most
think
dramatic
of,
source text, like, what?
Literally.
How did
because
we
when you
get this
think of
lost in
Stephanie,
translation?
Stephanie only writes to the extremes.
Right.
It is either going the most perfect or things are at their absolute worst.
Right.
And so to have folks acting where it's like, oh yeah, no, it's just fine. It's like, what?
Right.
Who wrote this? Because it's not...
It's not my girl.
No, it's not Stephanie, that's for sure. And that was what I found incredibly confusing, because the fact that, like, Wander doesn't even get to fight and stand up for, like, doing the I'm not a parasite spiel.
Right.
It's just at the end, somehow, Emily Browning pops up, which I should mention, that is Petals to the Moon's body, who is, like, 14.
Yeah.
And is smaller than everyone else, because again, it's Emily Browning.
Right.
She's small. And it's just, at the end of this, they're all like, oh, no, it's fine. It's all good. It's fine.
Right.
When it's not.
We saved it. We're all good. Everything's great. We did it. Good team.
What I will say, compared to the epilogue when we had read it, and to the epilogue of this movie, it felt more like they had set this up for another piece.
Totally. Yeah. They were definitely looking for new adventures or a continuation of sorts. I will say, too, the one change that I thought was interesting at the end, where it's like... Because also, I feel like the moments between Melanie and Wander were interesting. Like, they had an interesting dynamic, even though it felt, again, quite rushed and, like, not as intense, perhaps, as it was fully fleshed out. But, like, at the end, where instead of Doc saying those things where it's like, oh, you're the best soul, you're the, like, most pure soul, like, you could never do anything wrong, like, you're the most incredible person I've ever met, like, you're so selfless, whatever. That's Melanie saying that.
Yo, that killed me.
And, like, hello?
That shocked me.
Yeah.
I was completely taken aback by the fact that they had Melanie do that instead of Doc. Right. The amount of, dare I say, fruitiness?
Listen,
by that?
It's quite fruity. Besides the fact that she says my sister, everything else about that is fruit. They say I love you. Like, they do the whole thing.
They said I love you.
They said I love you to each other. Which is also funny knowing that, like, Wanda is saying it out loud and Doc is just, like, vibing, not hearing the other half of the conversation. It's very funny. But, like, it is fruity.
That's the thing that I always found very interesting throughout all of this, is that they just seem fine with Wanda just like talking out loud.
Just out loud. Yeah.
But you know what? That's fine.
It's like, sorry, I just got something. It's fine.
I
Don't
have
worry about
a
it.
conversation with another person right now. Could you like leave me alone?
Can you tone it down a little bit, please?
Yeah. Could you like leave the room?
Yeah.
You know, it's not good. It's not a good movie.
No.
It could have been done a lot better. But I will say that I'm glad there isn't more of it.
Right. Yeah.
So.
And we got that sick Imagine Dragons needle drop at the end.
Okay,
so.
at the end, that was the biggest shock.
Most shocking part of the entire movie.
I was not expecting it. It was like the worst jump scare I've ever had.
Yeah, it's like they turned the mix all the way up as soon as like the movie ended. It fades out. It's all peaceful. He does this like end narration. It's like, oh, we did it. It's great. Everything's cool. And then it's just like Imagine Dragons radioactive on 100. Turn it up. Blast it immediately after. No breaks. Like,
yeah, it was like they didn't even wait for the credits to roll. They were like, just turn it up to 100, boys.
Yeah.
Let's go.
That's all we need. That's it.
Yep.
We're done.
Yep. It was the biggest shock, truly.
Yeah.
And I would rather not be scared by Imagine Dragons ever again, if possible.
Yeah.
Knowing that was, like, that radioactive was specifically for the host. I mean, it's the best possible collaboration, truly.
Right.
But it truly was such a shock. I did not expect it at all. So, thank you, Stephanie, for constantly keeping me on my toes. I should know better by now, but I don't. So, God damn it. Anyways, next week we have our interlude before our next season.
Yes.
And I'm incredibly excited.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
Same. This is just a little bit of a sidestep for us. Penn Badgley is in a new movie that we did not know about. Right. I will say.
Yeah.
Until very recently. And so we're going to be watching it. It's called The Birthday Cake. Came out very recently. It amongst many people, it has not just Penn Badgley, but it has Shiloh Fernandez, who was also in the Red Riding Hood.
Nice.
It has Val Kilmer, and it also has Ewan McGregor, who we just talked about in our bonus episode, if you would like to hear a little bit more about him.
Ooh, yes.
As well.
All the hot Ewan McGregor tea that we're spilling.
So I'm very excited to watch this. It seems like Penn Badgley at his darkest, deepest, it looks like a very hot Italian movie. So
yeah,
I'm very excited to support
ready.
my family.
Absolutely.
We have an amazing collection of patrons to thank. Would you like to start us off?
Hell yeah. Shout out to Mallory Hardwick.
Thank you to Katie Black.
Thank you to Kylie Minty.
Thank you to Alex Dornan.
Shout out to Carrie Goldberg.
Thank you to Mickey Meyer.
Ooh, yeah. Ooh. Shout out Rebecca Cullen.
Thank you to Mouch Gray.
Mouch. Thank you to Taylor Brown Town Lautner.
Hell yeah.
Ooh.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Thank you to Jasmine Anastasia.
Shout out to Bailey Christian.
Ooh. Thank you to Jay Molina.
Ah, yeah. Thank you to Cassandra Bomer.
Ooh. Thank you to Tucson Wander.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out Kristen Strider.
Yeah. Thank you to Julia Stewart.
Thank you to Megan Pattinson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you to Cassandra O'Shea.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Shout out Rachel Seeker.
Thank you to Maddie Facinelli.
Thank you to Genevieve Morgan. Ooh.
Thank you to my mom, your mom, our mom, Kelly Beck.
Woo, Mom.
Woo.
Thank you to Sophia Salinger.
Thank you to India Peach.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you to Casey Yorkie.
Thank you to Sarah Blythe.
And thank you to Laura Forty.
Hell yeah. Now I am just curious what this sounds like.
Oh no. It's never a good sign.
Oh, not good. If you were ever curious, there is in fact a piano karaoke instrumental version of Radioactive
Thank God.
that you can find. So when it is safe at some point and you want to say, hey, bartender, hit me up with that piano karaoke instrumental version of Radioactive, you are able to.
Yeah. Just say, give me the aux, man. I got it. I got it loaded up. I'm ready.
Truly, give me a beat, boys.
Yeah.
Free my soul. Because I need to speak.
Yeah,
I have a fan fiction for you.
Hell yeah.
Because even when it is not June anymore, it is still Pride every day here at Into the Twilight.
Yes, so true.
So this is from the author X, Paige Turner X. And it is titled Welcome to Wonderland.
Hell yeah.
This was published on September 9th of 2017. And it was updated 20 hours ago. There are over 135,000 words, and I will be reading all of them for you today.
Great.
This is, the summary of this is a girl who crashes through time falls in love with a girl who sees through time. This is a Twilight fanfiction of Alice/Bella. I'm going to just be reading from chapter 1. It seems like this is specifically from the first book, from Bella's perspective. And it starts off in the cafeteria. Here we go. So she stares, watches. She watches the Cullens. She's still not entirely sure on all of their names. It's only been a week, and as much as she's obsessed with them, she's actually pretty bad at partaking in gossip. It's not unusual to catch Bella Swan without her headphones on, and if they aren't, they're usually hanging around her neck, playing music just loud enough to be heard. Admittedly, everything about Bella Swan screams fuck off, but that's neither here nor there, because her friends seem to ignore it anyway. Bella inspects the toes of her boots. They're big and black and police issue, perhaps her most treasured hand-me-down from Charlie, before shifting her gaze half an inch up, dark eyes flickering over to the Cullen table again. Maybe he's gay, she says diplomatically. Amber eyes blink, and they're on her, staring at her through her, to her very depths. Probing, curious, bewildered, and then frustrated. She swallows. Rough and large and awkward in her throat, trapped in a gaze more powerful than any she's ever encountered. He sees her. He sees her, and she's freaking out. Because beyond the curiosity and intrigue, there's something else. Something dark and twisted, growing, morphing, overtaking the bewilderment. And yep, those are black eyes. Those are black eyes glaring at her from across the cafeteria, and she's going to die. Of this, she's absolutely certain. There's not a single shred of doubt in her mind. this is not a person staring back at her. This is the epitome of hunger and desire, of true want. This is what craving looks like, and it's terrifying. Bella will never look at addicts the same way ever again. Her appreciation of their struggle has tripled, because if they felt even an iota of what she sees in his gaze, her heart goes out to them. She's about to tell Angela to clear her browser history once she's dead, that she wants her father to remember her as he does now, pure and not the shameful, awkward owner of a bunch of lesbian porn. She doubts her claims of research. It's purely for scientific research purposes. I'm not really sure what I am would hold up. Well, anyone. Maybe Renee. But Renee was always a wild card. Trying to anticipate that woman was like trying to anticipate anxiety or insanity, she guesses. Alas, the universe has her back today, at least, and someone else at the table shoves his lunch tray into his chest. Edward blinks, breaks his horrifying gaze to scowl at the boy across the table from him. Bella also finally blinks, and it feels like dragging sandpaper over her eyes. She's let out a small, shaky breath and watches on. End scene.
Damn. Go off, Bella. You get that porn, baby.
So there are 22 chapters. Again, over 135,000 words on here if you would like to continue.
Go off. Absolutely.
Reading on that. So much, so many words.
Yes.
So if you know how to read, enjoy.
Yeah.
So, and also if you know how to read, please hit me up, because I tell a friend. Please vote on what you would like us to do for next season. Enjoy our interlude next week when we are going to enjoy our short Italian Kings.
Yes.
And as we say here in the Pacific Northwest,
Get bit.
get whipped.
Ooh.
Oh.
Into the Twilight is an Earbud Media production. You can follow us on Twitter at Into the Twilight or on TikTok at Into the Twilight Show. You can find me at Cody Corral on Twitter and Allie at Alexandria Does. And you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/Into the Twilight. We have merch, so much stuff. All those links are in the episode description. And make sure to rate and review us on your favorite podcast hosting platform. It really helps the show. Thanks. Bye.
You've been listening to Earbud Media Production. Earbud Media, audio for everyone.